Welcome back to everybody. I hope you guys managed to get that nice glass of whatever you're drinking, wherever you are, or may it be coffee or whatever else. And I hope you got the opportunity to stretch your legs and reflect a bit and think about that last conversation that we had about sharing data. Now we move on. And before we move on, I wanted to say that all of you guys that are continuously posting and sharing the conversation and being part of the conversation on social media. We see you. Please continue to do that. The hashtag is AtlanticAll, and as well as Atlantic Youth to comment on the youth ambassadors. So thank you very much for that. Keep them coming. I see them. I just had a look at them during my break, and I think, thank you very much. It's awesome. Keep them coming. And now we go on to the launch of the joint actions in support of the All Atlantic Ocean Research Alliance, and the AANCHOR project, amongst its other activities, were tasked to initiate All Atlantic joint actions to support the long-term implementation of the Belém Statement with structuring effects of the All Atlantic community. What we're going to do now is move on to Yona Seleti, who will present to us the All Atlantic Community Strategic Vision for the joint actions. And you will remember yesterday in his remarks, he did say that he will show us today, and we will see today, that we're going beyond policy statements and policy pronouncements. So over to you, Professor Seleti.
Thank you very much. You're doing a fantastic job.
Thank you.
Thank you for reminding me of the statement. And I wish to acknowledge humbly at the beginning that I'm standing in for the collective, the co-chairs. So I'm merely a spokesperson of this vision. To begin with, the vision, the work that we're talking about, is about societal needs and meeting societal needs. So the various activities that we do, look at and embark on are meant to help us arrive at a better society, better oceans, safer oceans. And so that is what we need to keep in mind at all times, that this is the end product that we need, that it's not just science by itself. And therefore, it is important for us to remember even the origins of how this particular vision has emerged. Initially, it was a regional vision for the North Atlantic part of it, and it was the Atlantic Ocean Research Alliance, and guided by the Galway Statement. And having learned lessons from there, the European Union, which has played a catalytic role in building this alliance, came to a realization that we needed a pore-to-pore, basin-to-basin kind of alliance. And hence, the Belém was born to consolidate that southern part of the Atlantic to come together. So the very spirit with which this alliance is built on is on the principle of inclusiveness, of not leaving anyone out of this agreement. And I'm delighted to see the likes of Namibia as part of this conference, and also we miss Cape Verde, which is already part of this grouping. So it is meant to be inclusive. From the vision that we have, we would like all countries along the Atlantic Ocean to be members of this alliance. And hence, the title of our work is the All Atlantic Ocean Research Alliance. It has expanded. So we are growing through expansion to cover everyone. Having said that, we would like also to indicate that the approach is to take a systemic approach to the challenges and opportunities offered by the Atlantic Ocean. We have moved towards an all-Atlantic Ocean alliance, joining the efforts of Galway and Belmont. And so this is really very important to stress that we intend to be systemic in our approach so that there is sustainable activities continuing on. I'll also move on quickly to say that we have a vision, and the All-Atlantic Ocean Research Alliance intends to advance the shared vision of an Atlantic Ocean that is healthy, resilient, clean, self-transparent, predictable, productive, understood, and treasured, so as to promote the well-being, prosperity, and security of present and future generations. So it's not just about the science, it's about the people, the environment, so that we can move on. The work of bringing together the philosophy under which we work as the All-Atlantic has been very deep, or moving all the way from Bahia to Galway and also to Brussels. And we've come up with these principles because we believe in them and we've seen them work. And everyone today has been commenting on these shared responsibilities. And the sharing, and what a brilliant presentation from the Brazilian colleague on trying to explain the model of mine and our model on the sharing. And that illustrates the spirit of the Belém statement. The last session that we've had, there have been very brilliant presentations given, beginning with Martin and ending with Paula, and all of them emphasizing the idea of data sharing, sharing information. And the chairperson, the director of the program, has been having very leading questions around that nature of sharing and what that it means. We've also looked at the joint priority setting. This is very important. There is no senior such as Brazil or the USA or Canada. We are all equals when we come to setting the priorities in this alliance. There is such a good spirit of transparency, of trust, of working together with the same objective of solving the problem. So I want to stress that point. When we are expecting researchers to implement joint priority setting, is because we have set a precedence at the high level of doing that. I would like to probably stress that we, in the selection of the activities that we've chosen, we had 4 key criteria, and probably Sophia will go a little more on that. Fitness to the Belém statement ambition. Do these projects fit in with the ambition of the Belém? And then we also looked at the quality of implementation. Do they cover all the regions? Do they have the means to do that? Are they proposing activities that will drill down to communities and to everyone? So there was quite serious interrogation, and then long-term measures of sustainability on this impact. So this is what we have been looking at, and eventually we want to look at how it will impact society. So the motto for all this work, to conclude, is very simple. We aim to connect different actors involved, from communities to researchers, whether it's infrastructure or it's human capital. We intend to connect, to cooperate, and that as the modus operandi is always seek for that, and then to act. This is not a way of theorizing. And may I pass on then maybe to Sophia or the chair, the director, because she needs to assist in also setting the scene, apart from my giving this as a strategic part of it. And well, 5 minutes go so quickly. Thank you.
5 minutes with a grace of about 2.5 more, Professor Seleti. And I think the sincerity with which you say we are all equal in the alliance, and the sincerity to which you say it's not about the science, it's about the people, the environment. And with that, as you've indicated, I'm going to invite Sophia Kudairo, the AANCHOR coordinator, to set the scene and explain the process of the joint actions. Over to you, Sophia.
Thank you very much to Lily. It seems that I'm having an issue with my video. If the IT guys can support, in the meanwhile, I will share my screen with you. Okay. Are you seeing the my presentation?
Perfectly, thank you, Sophia.
Okay, so in the meantime, if you can solve the issue with the video, that is great. So thank you very much, Professor Seleti, for the very interesting introduction. And as you said, the joint actions have 3 pillars, and this is it's connect, cooperate, and act. And this is really about all the work that we have been done at AANCHOR in supporting several stakeholders at the Atlantic level to develop these joint actions. And this is this support is what I'm going to speak about. So connect, collaborate, and act were the main pillars for our activities. And in scope of the AANCHOR project, I'm sorry, we have implemented a multi-stakeholder platform, an all-Atlantic multi-stakeholder platform. It was divided by 5 different multi-stakeholders platforms, smaller ones for operational reasons, one in capacity development, another in knowledge transfer, the third in common standards for information and data, the fourth in ocean citizen awareness and literacy, and the fifth in conversions and alignment of research and innovation infrastructures. All of them have worked in a synergistic way among themselves, and other bringing together synergies with several Atlantic projects that have been funded also by the European Union. And all these platforms touch in the key areas of interest that are included in the blind statement and are very similar to the ones in the Galway statement, really in an all-Atlantic approach. So as I said, the aim of these platforms was to that the stakeholders could know each other, could identify jointly these priorities, could co-design the joint actions, and will be then later on to support them in the implementation of their activities. So how did we connect the stakeholders? We have launched the 5 dedicated multi-stakeholder platforms with the participation of more than 70 experts from 18 countries along and across the Atlantic Ocean. It was really massive. As you can see, quite good gender balance and an excellent geographic balance, with 1/3 of the stakeholders from America, the American continent, 1/3 from Europe, and 1/3 from the African continent. The blind statement key areas of interest are very well represented, as you can see in the bottom pie chart. And as I said earlier, we have counted with several contributions from Atlantic related EU funded projects, several of which you have heard yesterday and today. In all our interactions, or in the platform interactions, we had more than 190 meetings, calls, a huge number of interactions with all these stakeholders. In this only within 1 year, since November 2019 to October 2020. So, as also Yona said, we have defined the priorities together. So together with the blind co-chairs, the signatories of the blind statement, we have defined 10 strategic objectives, 10 operational objectives, and 20 KPIs, key performance indicators, that the platforms would need to work on, that and that the joint actions would need to reply to. And all these objectives and KPIs aim to allow collaboration, alignment, convergence, and most important, use what is already there. There is a huge amount of existing resources that just need to be aligned. And this is the idea of the joint actions. At the multi-stakeholder platform, our experts have identified more than 1,000 initiatives in the Atlantic that could cooperate and collaborate and support the all-Atlantic vision that Iona has just mentioned. All these 1,000 initiatives, or a bit less because we need to remove the duplicates, will be included in the All Atlantic Ocean Research Alliance portal. There is a database there. Currently, there are around 50 initiatives, but we will keep adding more initiatives in the long run. And hopefully, all the initiatives that have been identified will be uploaded by mid next year. It is a huge task to validate all the information. Then our experts have also identified the needs and the gaps to achieve this high-level ambition. They have identified 56 gaps and 79 needs and recommendations. These 5 deliverables, 10 deliverables, because there were 2 per work package. These 10 deliverables are available in our portal. So you are more than, you are invited to access it and to check them. So based on what I have said, the different platforms, the different strategic objectives, KPIs, the baseline of existing initiatives and the gaps and needs, our experts have come up with very interesting 6 collaborative joint actions. These joint actions aim to be long-term activities, so they should continue after the lifetime of AANCHOR, which should end at September 2022. They should have a long-term impact, use existing resources, and be ambitious, but very realistic. And at the end of this forum, you will receive a thank you message for your participation. And within that message, there will go a survey, an open call for collaboration for everyone interested in contribute to the collaborative joint actions. You just need to access the survey and say how can you contribute to each of them, and like this we can even enhance the cooperation, co-design, or keep the co-designing of these activities, because as I said, all the resources are out there, we just need to align them. And to finalize, I would like to thank to all staff within AANCHOR that have through their huge efforts have allowed these 6 joint actions to come to light, and of course the experts. A big thank you to all the experts that have been involved. Without your willingness to do so, this would not be possible. Thank you very much. Thank you, Tilly.
Thank you so much, Sophia. So we all heard it right here. You want to know who is who, and you want to know who is doing what. So you visit that main All Atlantic portal. And I think now I would like to hand back to Professor Seletti, who is now going to officially announce the launch of the joint actions. Over to you, Prof.
No, thank you very much. On behalf of the co-chairs, I have the privilege to announce these awardees. And if you look on page 14, I will read the names from there, page 14 of your program. These are, the first one is All Atlantic Ocean Capacity Development and Training Platform. And the principal investigator there is Fiona Ekau. And then we have a joint marine biotechnology knowledge transfer initiative for the Atlantic. And Fabiano Thompson, based in Brazil, will lead that group. Then the third one is towards All Atlantic Aquaculture Platform, driving innovation and knowledge transfer. And we have Alexander Neitz as the person that will lead that group. And the institutions are also indicated. The fourth one is the All Atlantic Data Enterprise 2030. And again, this will be led by Olga Sato from Brazil. But you can see the persistence of these themes of data, data, data. And then we have a different kind of idea in number 5, the All Atlantic Blue Schools Network, getting to the ground, to the communities. So that also will be led by Ronaldo from Federal University of Sao Paulo. And the last one is the All Atlantic Research Infrastructure Network. And Jose Luis Moutinho will lead there, and from the Air Center, I guess that's Portugal, from that. In addition to this, the first joint action really is the AANCHOR CS offices and staff that work in there. I wish to, before maybe just declaring them launched, to thank all these players because it has taken long. And I must indicate that the co-chairs were quite intensely involved in these activities. So they are very proud of this work that has come through, and it will represent the Belém emblem across the country. So I have the privilege, therefore, of declaring these projects, these joint actions launched on behalf of the Belém statement. Thank you. And I think that, yeah, that's enough. Let me leave the rest to the chair.
Thank you so much, Prof, for that enthusiastic launch and announcement. And I'm going to call now the leaders of the different joint actions to speak to us. And I'm going to start off with Werner Egau.
Yeah, I cannot start my video. The host has stopped my video. So it would be nice if you can, okay. Okay, then I would share my screen with you. And I understand that there are 2 minutes left for each joint action. So I will try to be very quick. So I'm reporting now on the joint action of work package 3 of the AANCHOR project, All Atlantic Ocean Capacity and Training Alliance. This is a cooperative work of 6 lead authors selected from the large group of co-leads, stakeholder platform members, and further connected experts. So the main objectives of this joint action are originated in the highly needed collaboration in cross-Atlantic capacity development. You have heard during the last 2 days that there is a lot of things going on, but we felt that it's really needed, that this has to be organized in a better way to maximize the effectiveness of the existing measures, to develop synergies between existing and future measures. We need to use the infrastructure. We had heard that from Jose Enrique, in a coordinated manner, to use them in a more efficient way. And we also have to develop new ways of training, addressing new clients, politicians, administrators, etc. And all this should be connected with the UN Decade of Ocean Science and Sustainable Development. And we also need to look for synergies with other projects, among others, the sister project of the Blue Growth Call, as they are mentioned here. So the main lines of activities that we identified was a cross-Atlantic platform for capacity building measures, then an all-Atlantic floating university network that should be developed. And this was also something that came out very clearly. We need to invest more in technology capacity development, so to include technicians and so on in these activities. How should that work? Well, we think that 3 scientific or 3 steering groups should be built, connected or related to the 6 Belém statement thematic areas. they would select, they would identify needs and measures to be held, to be realized in this network or in this platform. A management committee where we have on one hand experts, but also the political parts should overview the whole thing to guarantee a good balance, geographical balance, thematic balance, and this should be supported by a project secretariat and some logistic support. And this all has to go in cooperation with funding partners and implementation partners. Some of them are listed here. The topics will be selected from the needs and gaps analysis that we worked on and that we produced, but also from the sister projects, for example, which have preferred or at least also focuses in the different belay statement thematic areas. And the whole thing, then we would include, or we have to include somehow the Atlantic Youth Ambassadors wherever appropriate, and establish links, strong links to the different sister projects, Blue Growth sister projects, and to other institutions or programs that are already running and doing quite a good job. But in this case, or in this platform, these activities should be brought together and to make them more efficient and to better use the resources, human resources and financial resources. So the output would be the collaboration should be fostered, gaps in knowledge should be reduced, a better trained young scientists should be produced, better coordination and synergies among the training activities in ocean training programs, and a more integrated and enabled workforce for the blue economy in the Atlantic Ocean. By that, it could be a major contribution to the UN Ocean Decade. And we hope that we can, we hope that we can realize some kickoff activities together or around the UN Decade kickoff. But well, who knows at the moment, it's not foreseeable, but this would be, really the best thing. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Werner. And I'm going to move on very quickly to Fabiano.
Sure.
And I do apologize. You guys really do have 2 minutes each. If you could please stop sharing, Werner. Thank you.
Yes.
Over to you, Fabiano. Fabiano, I am not seeing Fabiano on the call. I am going to move on swiftly to the Alexandra Nates towards an All-Atlantic aquaculture platform. Thank you, Alexandra. You can go ahead.
Thank you very much. I'll just, share my screen here. Okay, you can see it now?
Not yet.
Oh.
We can see it now.
Yes. And in the presentation mode?
No, not yet, presentation mode.
Okay, here it is. Yes. Well, thank you very much. Thank you to AANCHOR, and 2 minutes, of course, that's not a lot of time, so I'll try to be quick as well. So I'm representing the European Aquaculture Technology and Innovation Platform, which is ETIP and is established in Europe as a multi-stakeholder platform, acting really on behalf of the aquaculture sector as a whole, so across the value chain, and trying to lever industrial research and innovation priorities to the European research agenda. So it is a legal entity, member-based and industry-driven. So it has members across the value chain, as I said, but also from industry and from research organizations, And we also have clusters across Europe called the mirror platforms. And that is really the basis of what we are basing our joint action under the AANCHOR initiative on as well. So these are regional industry-driven clusters, and they are dedicated all to aquaculture from an industry point of view. So together with them, we have also established this initiative, and this is something that we haven't done alone, of course. It is a very close collaboration with our partners across the Atlantic, and it has been expressed at several occasions. As you can see here, there was a lot of discussions already a long time from now on the need for this consolidation of aquaculture and how it can work better together. Because of course, as you know, there are commonalities both on challenges but also on the opportunities. And it is also one of the areas that is strongly emphasized both in the Belém and in the Galway statements. So in a policy context, aquaculture is a true contributor to the blue economy, and the production of food from the sea is really helping us not only to recover economically, but also to reach the targets that are set in the Green Deal. And it is a world and a challenge as stated by FAO. At ETIP, we have provided a strategic research and innovation agenda and are looking at collaboration across stakeholders to develop research needs for growth, sustainability, and innovation. So as a cornerstone in this joint initiative here, joint action is the EURASTIP project that we have received funding from through the Horizon 2020 program, which has developed platforms in Thailand, Bangladesh, and Vietnam. And we have developed a toolbox and also a working methodology of how to approach platform development. And this is what we want to use for our further collaboration and for the action to come, developing a multi-stakeholder aquaculture platform in Brazil as a case study. So together with our colleagues and the industry in Brazil, we have already started the dialogue on how to do this. But we are also looking at the analysis for an application in South Africa at the same time, and looking at the potential for mirror platforms in other countries. So Argentina, Cape Verde has been mentioned, and we have contacts there in order to set it up, but also Namibia. And of course, after having heard from Canada and the US, there are great opportunities to look in aquaculture within these type of superclusters there. It is funded by AANCHOR, but we're also looking very much into, and we have contributions from Aquavitae and Astral already represented and looking into aquaculture, and also other international initiatives such as Blue Econet and Innovation Norway. And of course, we're open for any others that would be interested in collaborating with us in setting up this platform or the platforms, and having key stakeholders involved. So the delivery is mentioned here. I'm not sure if I have some time still to go through them.
Not at all, Alexandra. No. Not
okay.
at all.
But then
I'm so sorry about that.
And
so sorry about that.
Thank you.
I'm gonna go back to Fabiano. I think Fabiano is with us now. I apologize, Fabiano, for that. I think we'll have Fabiano now. Fabiano, you have 2 minutes. I'm so sorry.
Hi, gentlemen and ladies. Start my video. Hello. Hi. Can you see my screen?
We can see your screen. We can hear you well. Hello, Fabiano.
Yeah.
2 minutes.
Hi. Yeah,
Thank
2
you.
minutes. Okay. So good morning, everyone. In the spirit of the inclusive, systemic, and healthy projects, I will be very brief. This is the name of the joint action, Marine Biotechnology. It's led by the Brazilian Network on Marine Biotechnology. This network comprises universities, institutes, research centers from all over the country, over 30 from south to north, and is led by us here at UFRJ, Rio de Janeiro, and the University of Brasilia. The mission is to put Brazil closer to the leadership of marine biotechnology in 10 years. We have a number of objectives for today. Leverage undergrads and capacity building is very important. Connect and collaborate with different people from different countries. I have to tell you that this initiative is from the Brazilian, the Ministry of Science and Technology, but also with support from Ministry of Education and from the State Foundation. Some of our contributions on mariculture, of course, and therapeutic developments from mariculture products, biodiversity discovery, microbiomes, and omics. And I bring just one example here for you. This is a discovery from our team, 56,000 square kilometers reef off the mouth of the Amazon. It has been accessed by over 400,000 people all over the planet. It's really a hot topic. More details on our network, please go to this manuscript. You will find all the details of the network. For today's contribution, which we are looking forward to begin next year with you colleagues from Africa and across the Atlantic and Argentina, and we were as much inclusive as possible for the moment, and we will expand further with South Africa, Germany, Argentina, Belgium, Cabo Verde, Norway, Denmark, the United States, Spain, France, Morocco, and Portugal. Our goals are to promote networking, to promote technology transfer, and to leverage capacity building among stakeholders, particularly the young people and also the entrepreneurs, the young entrepreneurs. Our tasks, well, 4 or 5 tasks: a preparatory meeting, workshop, training course, workshop, a startup accelerator workshop, and a roadmap at the end. Thank you so much. And where you can find us in the beautiful, in the wonderful city of Rio de Janeiro. I'm happy to be part of this. And thank you so much, Patricia Abdala and Claudia Magalhães and Roberto Pinto for building this with us.
Thank you so much, Fabiano, for that energy. And as I move on to Olga Sato from the University of Sao Paulo, Fabiano, entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs are very important. Thank you so much for mentioning them as we wait for Olga Sato. Thank you. Over to you, Olga.
Okay, can you see? Can you hear me?
Perfectly. Yes, yes.
Okay. Hi, I'm Olga Sato from Brazil. And I thank you very much for the opportunity to come here and share the accomplishments of the Work Package 5 of AANCHOR, WP5. And the title of our joint action is All Atlantic Data Enterprise 2030. So we are the common standards for information and data sharing. This is a quick diagram of our model. We have people at the center of our model. So the scientists, the people, the society, and with the help with the technology, we want to try to help to solve many problems that we have facing in the current So one of them is to close the gaps between the North and the South, the West and the East. And one of our biggest motivation is the challenge to get all the data that the community, scientific community have accumulated along the decades. We have a huge amount of data. And especially now that we are want to understand some of the climate patterns, the old data are very important. And combining the old data with the new data, we can shape a better data stream for the future. Our model will be the spirit of open science. So institutions and scientists will have access to all data. And also we're gonna use this model to face some of the problems that we have in our current situation, like adapt to blue economy, have better conditions for food and health. In a scenario of a climate change, it's really nice when we have a risk assessment or prediction of extreme events. So most of us will be very concerned about decision making of, to get all these problems solved. So especially people who have to take some decisions, this network will help everybody. So quickly, our mission is the creation of a data-driven mentality in scientific research to implement the land statement. And the goal is to create this unique transatlantic platform for standardized, natural, social, humanistic, and scientific data, and special emphasis on the standardized data. We already talked about this morning. And the product is a federation of data infrastructures. So all these structures connecting all Atlantic Basin. And the name of this platform is All Atlantic Ocean Data Space, AAODS. And especially with the collaborations and synergy with the sister projects that we heard yesterday. So this will help to generate this product that we are planning to launch. A quick view of the joint action is to establish a foundation for a strategic multi-axis platform to achieve long-term goals in the framework of the Lane Statement. This will be done within the period of AANCHOR until September 2022 and financed by seed money from AANCHOR. And the second part will be a post-AANCHOR period, which we have to secure sustainability of this platform and continue the implementation of the Belém and Galway statement. So this is something that's important to have a continuation. Quick view of the start off. We have 3 tasks ahead of us: a showcase of the infrastructure and services available to the whole Atlantic community using webinars. In the second stage, we're going to have workshops. Hopefully after the pandemic, we're going to have presential workshops to define needs and customize some of the services for the whole Atlantic community. We focus that part for one specific study case, the effects of emerging pollutants, so we don't have to solve all the problems in the world. And third, implement this platform, producing some special application, an app, so to test the test of concept, and a white paper to get all this information done. So thank you. Take home message is the federation of infrastructure that connects everybody and solve all the problems. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Olga. Beautifully done there. And the measure of new data and with the old data to make decisions. Thank you so much for that. So I'm going to move on right along to Ronaldo Cristo Folletti from the Federal University of Sao Paulo in Brazil. I see your presentation, Ronaldo. We can go for it. Thank you.
Hello, Tulini. Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm here representing a team also composed by Raquel Costa from Portugal, from the Ministry of Science in Portugal, and Guadalupe Constanzo from the Cultural Center of Science in Argentina. So I guess that Iona and Martin, when was closing the last session, already presented what is our idea. We have been discussing these 2 days that we needed to look beyond science, and we need to look science by the other views. So I'm here to present what is the working package 6, and I'd like to be grateful to the Ciencia Viva, the leaders, the co-leaders, and all the experts in the group for building on this. And the All Atlantic Blue Schools. Our aim here is join. It's integrate all the countries in the Atlantic by the ocean. We are already integrated. The ocean link all us in hemispheres, in continents. So we want to bring the science together with teachers, with educators, with children, with young. We want to discuss the ocean by their views. And we do that by also integrating the concepts of ocean literacy and bringing the Agenda 2030 and the 7th Sustainable Development Goals that link us to the ocean decade. So the idea is bringing our science to them and learning with them. How can we do that? We propose to build in a multinational and multicultural network, so it can be involving schools, teachers, industries, municipalities, NGOs, aquariums, museums, science centers. Anyone here, listen this, can be part of this joint action. It's open for everybody, and that you bring a multicultural and multi-social, multi-economic realities in exchange for everybody. We aim to bring all voices together. Doesn't matter our differences in language, in culture, in socioeconomic realities. All voices have equal value. All voices have the same weight here. So we want to listen, and from schools that only can be reached by radio, with schools that have more resources, doesn't matter. We will exchange and we will learn with those realities, the local community realities. We need to bring their voice together with the science from all the working packages, like all the data Olga was showing here now, or the biotechnology that Fabiano showed first, and so on. That link us to bring all the thematic areas all together and bring us to, at the end, trying to put that formally in all the curriculums in different countries. Of course, each country has one reality. It will take time, but we can make it. And by the end, we will be really forming the generation ocean, a generation of persons that understand the role of the ocean in their lives, in the influence of their actions in the ocean. They will be the leaders, they will be the decision makers in the future. And so might be the most of the discussions we're having these 2 days of integrating society, you'll be much easier when we are on that way. So all experiences from all the countries are welcome. And to finish and to end here, I would bring here the words, a comparison with John Lennon, Imagine. Because imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there is no countries. It isn't hard to do. Imagine all the people living life in peace. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. I would add here, imagine all the people taking care of the ocean. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you join us in the world, as the Atlantic, you live as well. So it's for all of us, guys, we can make it.
Thank you so much, Ronaldo. If we had time, I'd challenge you to sing those words of that song, but because we don't, you got saved there, my friend. And I think with that, I'd like to move on to the very last speaker here for this session is Jose Luis Mortino.
Yes, hello, just share my screen. Okay, can you see it?
I can see it. Thank you, Jose.
Okay, thank you so much. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending where you are. I'm in Portugal. I'm very happy to present the All-Atlantic Marine Research Infrastructure Network joint action together with Moacir Araújo from the Federal University of Pernambuco. He'll jump in the 3 slides. Well, I'm José Luis Moutinho from their center, and I would like to start by thanking Florence Coroner from IFREMER for her fantastic job while setting up the proposal for this joint action. As well, I'd like to thank the rest of the consortium for their enthusiastic and fantastic participation in the proposal preparation. Well, I mean, this joint action is the result of the Belém Statement intent to foster cooperation on marine research and innovation to increase operational efficiencies by optimizing the appropriate use and sharing of research infrastructures and access and management of data platforms. The main goal of this joint action is to establish an effective process for sharing research infrastructures while supporting the convergence and the alignment of these research infrastructures and promoting transnational inclusive access in the Atlantic area. So there are three main components on this joint action. The first one is the development and management group and the community group, which is composed by research infrastructure operators. The main object of these groups to design and implement the web portal, and also it will oversee the other two components, and they will ensure involvement of the Atlantic Ocean community. Another very important result is the publication of the guidelines for optimizing the use and sharing of research infrastructures. The second component is the web portal, where we will share ongoing information of ongoing unplanned activities at sea to research for complementarities and cooperation opportunities in the Atlantic. I mean, to demonstrate the usefulness of this web portal, we implement a case study on ship time sharing and cooperation opportunities in the Atlantic area. Well, third, we will develop thematic networks around plankton imaging, coastal observation, and polar research infrastructures. Well, in terms of governance, it's important to say that the development and management group and the community group will be key to engage and listen to the key stakeholders and provide an open forum and also tools, effective tools to facilitate access and ensure long-term impact. On the other hand, we will mobilize stakeholders from all the Atlantic region, encompassing varied types of infrastructures, covering different geographies in the Atlantic, and to guarantee long-term sustainability and relevance of the marine net results and outcomes. So I would like to invite Moacir to jump in. Moacir, are you there?
Yes, thank you, José. Thank you very much. I'm here. Could you change the slide, please? Only for highlight some characteristics, some features of the Marinet proposal, the Marinet project. In fact, what about to have in one single web portal all information concerning what's going on, what's planned for observations in the Atlantic. This is the ambition, the first ambition of Marinet, and I think this is very attractive, as mentioned in the chat this morning. And the second thing is really we start with some networking thematic works. I mean, plankton imagine, coastal observation. If you want really to look beyond the beach sands, we need really to connect the offshore to onshore and coastal observation. Bring the big picture to the coastal and stakeholders along the coast. It's very important, as well as polar actions in the Antarctica, for example. And one through in concrete, our model study case will be next year. We will have a ship time sharing and the research capability sharing in the eastern boundary around the Cape Verde and Angola and Namibia Sea, head by the colleagues from Portugal, but also from the people from Brazil and Germany, France, Cape Verde, Angola, and so on. I think that will be very exciting as a first case study. Next, please. The last one to Lil. So we should really, and we benefit from what's going on. I mean, all sister projects, not only in Horizon, but the old guys that are on the road, like for example, Pirata Network and Backbone and Argo and so on. And so you start by what's going on. It's very, very exciting. And I would finish by saying that we are very motivated to start Marinet, and we are really very motivated to bring it to reality after today. And really finish, welcome you all to not really to the Anthropocene, but to the Oceanocene. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much to you both. And I think that session that we had to condense into pretty much 30 seconds reflected the energy of the joint actions and the enthusiasm around the joint actions. And I'd like to thank all of those panelists for condensing and doing so well to convey their messages at such a small space of time. And with that, I'm going to take a break from moderating and pass the moderation over to Siggy Gruber, who's going to moderate the session on the Atlantic Ocean, the space for operation. Over to you, Siggy, and apologize for how late we are. Thank you.
Thank you very much, truly. Good morning, good afternoon to everyone. I am Siggy Gruber. Most of you, I imagine, know me. I am heading the Healthy Oceans and Seas Unit in the European Commission in Director General Research and Innovation. And I consider myself a little bit as a dinosaur for our all Atlantic work here. And I have really the pleasure to share now, to chair this session, the Atlantic Ocean, a space for cooperation. And Jona set out already, as well for me, the keywords: connect, cooperate, and act together. That is also going to be the leitmotif of these sessions, and all based on the principle of inclusiveness, which Jona also mentioned, because there are so many ongoing successful initiatives, so many platforms, and we can really do much better if we connect. So I have a fantastic panel with whom I can really share now the floor. There are 6 panelists, 6 speakers, and we will then have 4 discussants. And I'm sure you will all enjoy this session. So without any additional delay, because we also have to catch up, let me introduce to you the first speaker, Vidar Helgesen, who is Norway's special representative in the high-level panel for a sustainable ocean economy. And congratulations really to Vidar for yesterday's very successful launch of the main report and as well of the panel's conclusions around the globe. So Vidar, the floor is yours. You have 7 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Siggy, and let me try to share my screen and stop the video, so I will ensure that the sound quality is hopefully okay. So this has been an interesting week, and I'm very happy to conclude it by sharing with you some of the findings and conclusions of the high-level panel. The high-level panel was an initiative taken by my Prime Minister to gather a group of heads of state and government, sitting heads of state and government, to shape a new approach to the ocean. 14 countries. You may say that's not many, but they do represent 30%, almost 30% of the world's exclusive economic zones and 40% of the world's coastlines. They set out to shape an agenda for protection, production, and prosperity. A policy that could create a triple win, where we effectively protect, sustainably produce, and equitably prosper. And this, of course, matches the Sustainable Development Goals and the different elements of those, and 2030 and the SDGs and the ocean's role in delivering on the SDGs has really been the leitmotif here. We set about with a process based on knowledge. We're calling it a knowledge policy action process. Based on a tremendous production of new and interesting knowledge, and I know several of you here have been involved in that process, analyzing the latest ocean science and delivering also opportunities for action that the leaders could consider. And then the policy track is a document we released this week with transformations for a sustainable ocean economy. And then we've also geared up for taking the agenda forward to the action track. Let me just say on the knowledge process, more than 250 experts for 48 countries, very good diversity of expertise capturing so many elements of the ocean economy. We've been really impressed, and thank you to all of you who have contributed. I think it speaks to the quality of the research process that Nature published several of the papers this week and gave considerable attention to the process. Some of the key findings from this research process has been that the ocean can supply over 6 times more food than it does today, can deliver through extra action up to 21% of emission reductions we need to get to the 1.5 degree target, and deliver benefits with a ratio of more than 5 to 1 on investments. That unabated climate change, on the other hand, could cause enormous losses to tourism and fisheries, and that we need the ocean to be factored in much more prominently in the COVID-19 recovery packages. We found, working on and negotiating on the policies, that there is a confluence of opportunities here, opportunities for jobs and economic development that can at the same time deliver planetary benefits. So it's really a win-win or a triple win. And that's been much of the basis for the document, the conclusions from the heads of state and government, that they were delivered in the form of this document this week, Transformations for a Sustainable Ocean Economy. We have identified 5 pillars of a sustainable ocean economy. Ocean wealth, meaning the economic opportunities. Ocean health, covering the tremendous environmental challenges we need to address, and urgently. Ocean equity, the importance of justice, the importance of rights, and the importance of equitable and just sharing of the economic benefits and social benefits from the ocean. Ocean finance, much related to that, the need to get finance to the right places, not least also using public funding to de-risk private investments for new and more sustainable business models. And finally, ocean knowledge, which is both about science and continuing the scientific effort, but not least making data available for research, but also for planning and for public decision making, as well as governance, compliance, monitoring, etc. Now, all of these elements are captured in 74 priority actions from the 14 leaders, but they all come together in one headline commitment. These 14 leaders commit themselves and their countries to sustainably manage 100% of the ocean area under their jurisdiction, guided by sustainable ocean plans to be developed by 2025. And based on the fact that we commit to this, we urge all other coastal and ocean states to join us in this commitment, so that by 2030, all areas under national jurisdiction are sustainably managed. We're setting up, and we launched this under the heading of Give It 100%. The ocean gives us so much, and we need to give it 100%. And we're setting up now a process for continuing the panel, inviting more countries that will join the 100% commitment, continuing the political energy that is in the panel of heads of state and government, setting up mechanisms for funding and sharing of expertise to support countries that want to give it 100% and design sustainable ocean management plans. And we are delighted to see private sector, NGOs and foundations also gearing up to support this, whether in the domain of offshore energy, in seafood, in data. We see big economic actors committing to this agenda, and we hope that going forward we'll have the continued excellent collaboration with scientists, in order not least to hold all these actors to account for really delivering on the 100% commitment. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this interesting insights and for also setting it fully into the Sustainable Development Goals. I hope that we have a little bit time afterwards to come back with questions to you. And one question I would also already like to anticipate is, how do you see then the cooperation with the forum and all its different activities? How can we profit from each other's knowledge, from the actions, and from our ambitions? And I would like now to move to the next speaker, Vladimir Ryabinin, Executive Secretary from IOC. I don't think, Vladimir, I need to introduce you. Everyone already knows you, and everyone has already heard today in the keynote speech of Karim Hilmi all about really the future decade and how we can cooperate. But I'm sure you will outline to us and share some insights on how we can deepen this. So Vladimir, welcome to this session. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ziggy, and and always pleasure to be introduced by you. And but I think you overdid. I am not like John Lennon, but I would like also to join Ronaldo in basically alluding to, we felt like we were dreamers several years ago, but really now we are not the only ones. There is a huge actually support to the idea of the decade of ocean science. You already heard Karim Hilmi speak about this. So I would like to state that, IOC, the Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission of UNESCO, is the home of ocean science in the United Nations system. And on the graph that you see here, in different colors, at least on the left, I just wanted to show to you different regional bodies of IOC, sub-commissions. They span West Pacific, they span central part of the Indian Ocean. Africa is very special because, you focus the Mediterranean, the Atlantic, the Indian Ocean, border, and the Southern Ocean. But our commissions are mostly focused on the ocean, but Africa is organized very specially because I think the focus here is very much on capacity development. And we have also IO-Caribbean. But you see, we don't have a structure that will be spanning the whole Pacific and also Atlantic. So for us, it was very, very important to have IORA in place because I think mostly focusing on North Atlantic, it was doing a wonderful job in moving forward the science, complementing what our IOC was doing. And I'm very happy to see the development of the Galway Agreement, now the LEM Agreement, and also I'm very happy to see this in this that this forum is taking place, and 260 people participated in the forum, despite I think we're running a little bit late. So I think we are really not the only ones now, and there is a fantastic opportunity to move forward. So I also see a really fantastic spirit in this virtual room. And would like to say that, we need to move forward as a scientist. That means that there will be global standards in observations and regional and local implementation of our activities. The main paradigm of moving forward, and actually on the right, you see also some GOOS, Global Ocean Science, Global Ocean Observing System, regional alliances. And there are some alliances focusing on the Africa, also on the European part. There are some alliances focusing on the eastern part of the South America. But we need to, I think, to have this uniting movement, this forum that forum may provide, be the founder of. And I think with this global approach and global standards, we can focus on management of the ocean. That's the main idea. And this high-level panel that Vidar presented to you was actually really spearheading the idea of integrated ocean management based on science and data. That's basically the most important message. And I think Karim already presented this in terms of how we would like to move it forward with the decade. So now, with that enthusiasm, I'd like to invite you to think about the decade of ocean science once again. So first of all, the implementation plan of the decade is already with United Nations General Assembly. And around, I think in 10 days time, we hope very much that will be a resolution adopted by the Assembly in which the plan will be taken note of. And then this means the decade is moving forward on the 1st of January. And then you see here 10 challenges of decade. So we need to work against the pollution. We need to understand better ecosystems to make the ocean healthier. This will help us also, like Vidar said, to generate food from the ocean, hopefully 6 times more. And then this is also a contribution, the health of the ocean to ocean economy. We definitely have ocean climate nexus. There will be tropical cyclones, and there was already a tropical cyclone in the southern part of the ocean hitting Brasilia, which was never happening in the prior history. So with that, we need to deal with ocean risks. For that, we need to have observing system, and data is the critical part of the moving forward. And of course, we cannot leave anyone behind. Small island developing states, least developed countries have to get at par with in their capacities. But I think most importantly, we need to change our relation. We need to really sing songs and, you know, change, understand, so people join based on science and move forward in managing the ocean sustainably, loving and caring about the ocean. So on the 15th of October, IUC issued a call for decade actions. The deadline is the 15th of January. We now seek your ideas on the largest elements of the decade actions, which are called programs. That should be overarching activities composed of different projects. And I think with this enthusiasm and also quite significant networks that I see now, this is actually a revelation for me, and really congratulate the organizers for bringing together this fantastic community. You are in fantastic also position to come up with a great idea for a pan-Atlantic program for the decade. And I know there are some seeds of thought in this direction already. So I just would like really to reiterate that we are living now probably in several months or a year, despite the gloom and doom on pandemic, during fantastic time for the ocean. Because if we join forces and also our brains and co-design of this program, then during the next decade, we will have probably a renaissance. Well, not really renaissance. I would say we will have for the first time an oceanography that really fits its purpose as a key element of sustainable development. Thank you so much, Ziggy, for this opportunity to speak to this group of enthusiasts and scientists.
Thank you, Vladimir. I think we have shown a lot of enthusiasm, and we will continue to show this enthusiasm and this dynamism. And you can be sure that there will be a response to your call for action. I know that work is going on, so just stay tuned and it will come to you. And I think we can really in future sing a song together as well. We just have to find now who is the master of the orchestra. So with that, thank you again, Vladimir. It's always a pleasure to listen to you and to have you with us. And I move on now to Sandy Xaba from the Benguela Current Commission. Sandy, we have started already this year a fantastic discussion on how we can really seize the opportunity of our joint cooperation and cooperate with you in different areas. So the floor is yours. Please share your thoughts and vision with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Siggy, and good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. My name is Tandi Weklaba, as already introduced, and I am speaking from the Benguela Current Convention in Namibia. I'm trying to share my presentation. Let me go on to display mode. Can you see it, Siggy?
Yes, I can. Thank you. You just need to put it into presentation mode.
I thought that is where it is right now, but let me click again on the big screen. Yes.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Right. Yes. Thank you so much. I will first maybe make a disclaimer to indicate that This presentation was prepared without the awareness of the broader collaborative initiatives that have been presented here today, and nor had I the speakers before me. So if it sounds redundant, I really apologize. It's not my fault. We all had similar thoughts and ideas around this thing. However, my scope will be mostly the one that's most limited, in the sense that my presentation has been prepared from the perspective of the BCC, sharing opportunities that are available to the other role players in the all Atlantic Ocean space. So I will be talking on opportunities for potential collaboration with other role players. However, I will first start by introducing the organization that I represent, which is the Benguela Current Convention. It is a multi-sectoral intergovernmental organization that has been established by the governments of Angola, Namibia, and South Africa. The objective is to promote a coordinated regional approach to the long-term conservation, protection, rehabilitation, enhancement, and sustainable use of the Benguela current large marine ecosystem, which the three countries share. And the four sectors involved in the BCC are environment, fisheries, maritime transport, mining, and energy. Then I will move on my next slide, where I will be presenting the first area of collaboration, where there could be collaboration and synergies. The first area here is ecosystem monitoring and research. And the problem areas that the BCC is focusing on are the three blocks colored in brown, because they're really relating to brown issues as far as the ideal situation is required, necessary for our oceans. Firstly is pollution, environmental monitoring, and top predators. I will just maybe even before I outline each one of them, indicate that top predators has really become necessary, the research on them, because you may have heard or read on the media that a number of them have been dying along the coastline of Namibia, particularly around Walvis Bay and Swakopmund areas. They find lots of them on the beaches. Over thousands of them have died this past few months and weeks. And the cause of the death has really not been known so far, but specimens have been taken and sent by the Minister of Fisheries, of course, not the BCC per se. Yeah, so maybe we will get better information on that, but we are involved in researching them. But if I could start with the pollution first, which is the first area that we're focusing on within pollution, within our problem areas. And here we're looking at two areas, the land-based sources, as well as marine-based sources of pollution. And in the case of land-based, we're focusing on macro and microplastics, while in the case of marine-based, these include oil spills and alien invasive species, which often come through ballast water. Well, what is the output? Maybe if I could also explain the green blocks represent the science that is being applied in addressing the issues in the Benguela current BCLME research areas. And the blue blocks represent the outputs and management that will inform management on dealing with the issues that are colored in brown. So the output from land-based sources of pollution, we are hoping to get regional methodology and water quality standards. Whereas from the marine-based sources, we hope to get preparedness in case of oil spills and whatever, and mitigation measures for other sources of pollution. And it is the BCC's belief that information gathered from this research will contribute towards the UN Decade of Ocean Science Societal Outcome, known as a clean ocean. And then if I move to environmental monitoring, the purpose here is to really look at the impacts of environmental parameters on key species. And we hope to get a state of environment report from that research. Lastly, as I indicated, top predators have become, especially mammals, very key in the BCLME for the reasons I just outlined earlier on. And what we hope to get from the research on seabirds and marine mammals is 3 outputs: population status, IUCN Red List assessment, as well as conservation measures. And here, that small bubble at the bottom, we're really trying to solve the interaction between science and management, that is science informing management, and also management asking questions from science. And these last 2 areas of research, we believe, assistance with the restoring of the health of address the ocean climate nexus. That is an issue we're concerned about as well. Then another area of research for us is in data and information management, hence my disclaimer earlier on. This is very important for the BCCL as well, in the sense that this program is responsible for collecting, sharing, and exchange of data and information between the parties, including statistical, biological, environmental, and socio-economical data. And currently, as the BCC, we've been collecting information and thematic reports for the state of the marine ecosystem report. However, not all aspects of the ecosystem are currently monitored, and therefore, this creates an opportunity for further collaboration in order to cover the other aspects, and thereby contribute to data sharing at a much wider scale in the region. A region now being the All Atlantic. We are also developing an integrated information systems which includes a state of ecosystem information system, metadatabases, reports, and links to other information systems. And this data is also used by the BCC to contribute towards the information for the TDA process, which we are currently developing. But there is just one challenge area there, which is the compatibility of the data that is being collected, because the sources of the various sources that it comes from in the region.
Sandy, 1 minute left, please.
Oh, okay. We also have a training and capacity development program, which is a cross-cutting capacity enhancement program. I will not dwell on that one. Oh, I should have moved the slide. I will not dwell much on that one. A lot has been said about capacity development in the region and the need for it. Then I will move to my last slide, Sigi, where I'm showing you the 12 out of this picture. 12 of these are the newly recruited graduates, candidates, who are our new Benguela Youth Ambassadors. And these people we had an inception meeting for them on the 5th of November, and they are already starting initiatives in their respective countries in the BCLME space. We were originally planning, as we indicated at the beginning, to follow the All-Atlantic Young Ambassador approach in recruiting and working closely together, but our plans were disrupted by the COVID-19 restrictions. However, plans are still in place to provide these Benguela youth authorities, Benguela youth ambassadors with regional and international exposure through collaboration with the All-Atlantic Ocean Research Forum. Thank you, Sigi. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Sandy, and congratulations that despite the pandemic, you managed really to recruit and now to have the Benguela Youth Ambassadors. And I suggest that we twin them immediately with the ones that we have just launched off today, if you agree. And there are other really ways of cooperating for the pollution and for the ocean climate nexus as well. So thank you so much. And with that,
great pleasure, and thank you, Sigi. We will follow that one on another platform.
I move now on to Abdoulaye Diagana from the Abidjan Convention. and he will share his vision with us about democratize science and how to really involve and talk to communities. So Abdullah, the floor is yours. Are you with us?
But muted.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Sigi. I would like to thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to be a part of this journey. As I said in another occasion, the humanity is experiencing a rare opportunity to make qualitative leap to reshape on our relationship with our environment and on the necessary action to be taken urgently. This will require a paradigm shift based on 4 fundamental axes. I will go quickly on them. The first one is climate change. The second is the biodiversity loss, which must urgently be slowed down considerably. COVID-19 has come to remind us that the fact of colonizing more and more space and encroaching on the territories of other species is not without consequences for mankind. And this will increasingly, unfortunately, result, according to experts, in the growth of zoonoses. The third one is the pollution, including plastic pollution. And the last one is raising community awareness. There is a saying, if you know that you can't run without your companion before the race starts, prepare him to run well. We want to look at the whole Atlantic Ocean. That is a very good approach in our consideration, because for a global street, because the global street calls for a global response. The Abidjan Convention, maybe I'm going to present it. It covers the entire Atlantic seaboard of the African continent, 22 countries from Mauritania to South Africa, and 14,000 kilometers of coastline. We interact with the citizens, the local communities in our countries. We know the daily concern, the impact of climate change, the scarcity of their lives. We deliver activities in the framework of projects like World Bank funded WACA project, which covers 6 West African countries and deals with coastal erosion. The Coastal Fisheries Initiative with FAO, the German IKI founded Mamiwata project, which build capacities on integrated ocean management tool in Benin, Cote d'Ivoire, and Ghana. The European Union founded ACP MEA's project, which build capacities in biodiversity loss, pollution, ocean governance, and raising awareness. We therefore believe that resource, sorry, I experiencing some small problem with my computer. We therefore believe that research and innovation alone will not solve the problem we face if they do not involve local communities and stakeholders in their approach. Communities and stakeholders have a spontaneous and practical knowledge of their environment, but increasing pressure and competition for resources are pushing them to adopt behaviors that are incomprehensible to the sustainable management of our oceans. Science and innovation must therefore integrate the daily concern of local stakeholders and learn from their experience. Therefore, research and innovation needs to be accessible to citizens regardless of social status. The vocation of science is first of all to bring the right information to the citizen, to the legislator, to the decision maker, going from science to policy. In order for this scientifically located information to become knowledge available to the general public, it must be translated into simple language, into a language of the general public. The scientific and expert community needs to come out of the box. Here between us, we communicate amongst experts who are aware of the threat to humanity. But those who need to become aware of the global threat, those who need to be mobilized, who need to change their behaviors, can only be reached if we give them the language they hear. Traditional communication mechanism must be brought into play. One of the keys is to get communities to understand that it's not about protecting the oceans against their interest. That is not about giving more importance to a sea turtle than to their daily concerns. That meeting their daily needs is not incompatible with protecting our oceans. On the contrary, good management is the guarantee of long-term management. Ocean literacy will have to change mentalities and perceptions by making people understand that the ocean does not begin on the beach or on the coast, but in our cushion, as I used to say it, or living room or our garden. It is particularly gratifying to see that more and more young people are mobilizing around environmental issues, and they are right to do so because it's their present and their future. The initiative of the youth ambassadors is definitely an appropriate response to the situation, but we will have to go further. Education on the sustainable management. This is a young people who is doing his cinema. Education on the management of our ocean and resources must be included in curricula from primary schools onwards. Above all, we must build bridges between them on both sides of the Atlantic. Over the long term, humanity has shown that its capacity for resilience can be very extensive when faced with a major challenge, and definitely we are in a major challenge. The critical situation in which we find ourselves today calls for a profound change in our relationship with the planet. It must question the economic and societal models that dominate today and which is characterized by growth and productivism. The All Atlantic Ocean Research Forum is doing a good job that must be extended to the rest of the world. I see three directions to explore or deepen, and I will finish. To ensure that the technical platform available to the scientific community in the South Atlantic is able to provide scientific quality data and help provide answers to the crucial questions raised by the ocean crisis. I suggest to further discussing how to foster co-designed solution-oriented research, building on our respective experiences and specific challenges. We need to seek a clear understanding of the barriers to collaborative research and behavior change at each step of the process, co-design, co-production, and co-delivery, that need to be addressed to create the right condition to develop collaborative research projects. We can discuss on what is the best scale, what the best level, or whether regional or national. Second one, identify one or two, just one or two activities.
Please, can you finish?
Yes, just one or two activities to be conducted in a pilot phases. For example, markets for plastic waste. And the last one, at the same time, it must incorporate a behavior change component by working at all stages with all stakeholders. Having data and information is a good achievement. Sharing and disseminating them is better. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Abdoulaye. And let's continue this dialogue because you touched upon a lot of very important issues. We fully agree with you. It's the co-design, the co-delivery, it's the co-ownership actually of our actions. And now let me move on to our next speaker, Miguel Bello. He's the CEO from the Atlantic International Research Center, and you are very well known with the Networking Friday sessions. It's not the Friday for the future, but I think you made history over the summer and until now with your Friday networking sessions. Miguel, the floor is yours. You have 7 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Siggy, and good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for the invitation to this panel. Let me share my screen. if I can. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, you just have to put it in yes, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, nice. Okay. Okay, well, thank you. And well, the Earth Center is an international organization to develop scientific and technological application to deal with problems like ocean pollution, weather change on the Atlantic, with the idea to foster job creation and also to help to reach the United Nations Sustainable Goals. We integrate different types of science, space, climate, ocean, energy, and we have the Belém Statement, one of our most important terms of reference for the cooperation north-south, east-west. In our organization, we already have nearly 20 countries. We have in Africa, South Africa, Namibia, Angola, Nigeria, Sao Tome, Ghana, Cape Verde. Brazil is one of our most important partners. In Brazil, we already have 3 nodes in Rio, Fortaleza, Bahia, and in the next days, we are going to inaugurate Air Center node in Amazonia, in Belém. We also incorporate Colombia, Mexico. In the United States, we have important nodes in MIT, UT Austin. And within Europe, it's Portugal, Spain, United Kingdom, Norway. And we are now discussing with Canada, Ireland, and other countries to join. I mean, today we're nearly 20 countries. We have our headquarters in Terceira Island in Azores. This is the picture of our headquarters. And we move in different lines. An important line is the events. And José Moutinho, who was presenting later on, is responsible for this with Networking Fridays. But we have, apart from the Networking Fridays, we have many other lines of activity. One is international in collaboration research infrastructure. We create an Earth observation laboratory in Azores Island with a special agreement with the European Space Agency. It's an ESA lab to develop a space application from Earth observation system for the Atlantic regions. We are also very proud to host the Secretariat of the MBON, the Marine Biodiversity Observation Network, which is an organization with more than 100 countries to monitor ocean biodiversity. But we are also very active in geodesy. We host a very long-base interferometry radio telescope in international collaboration. It is between the Azores regional government, Spain, and other countries. Apart from research infrastructure, we also work in projects. We are a very recent organization. Since we were created in about 2 years, we did 67 proposals for international competitive calls for international collaborative projects. We were awarded with more than 20 projects with more than 30 million funded, which is translated in jobs, is more or less equivalent to the generation of 100 new skill jobs, which is one of the objectives of the Earth Center. Not job at the Earth Center itself, but at our stakeholders, which is the industry, companies, research centers, universities. Some examples of projects that we are developing is E5DES, which is for the desalination for the island in the Micronesia, but also with some partners in Africa. We have contract with the European Space Agency for hyperspectrometer to detect marine litter, detect plastics with a hyperspectrometer from space. We have also a project with the European Space Agency for the ports of the future, which is developing techniques moving towards zero pollution ports. And obviously also, we are very proud with the project we are developing for Horizon 2020 and with European Union programs. One of them is Astral, which has been already presented for the optimization of aquaculture, where we have an important role. This is just an example of the projects. Those are projects we are running, but we have long-term vision. The long-term vision that we have, what we want to achieve, is a framework to deal with all the problems that we have on the Atlantic: coastal erosion, fisheries protection, aquaculture, extreme weather. All those problems are global. All those are very complex. Then we need frameworks, which is, we call this framework Atlantic pole-to-pole observation system of systems, because we cannot deal with a single system all those complex issues. For that, we envisage an architecture with 7 components. Space components, we always need space data because it's the only one synoptics. By combining, well, for this APOS framework, we do not need to start from scratch. What we need is to federate existing assets and make them working together. For the space component, for instance, we're using NOAA and NASA satellites from the States, obviously the Sentinels, European for the Copernicus program, but we envisage that there is a gap. We need more frequent data. For this, we have a flagship project called the Atlantic Constellation. It's a constellation of 16 satellites, which will be able to provide ocean data every 2-3 hours to cover some phenomena on the ocean we need this revisit time. This is being done in collaboration with 8 countries of our networks. We also have an atmospheric component, not only with drones, but also with what we call HAPS, high altitude platform, which are a stratospheric platform flying at 30 kilometers altitude. Obviously, it's also very important, the sea surface component and the underwater component, with buoys, radars, drifters, gliders. For this, we have 2 important initiatives. One is ARC, the Atlantic Autonomous Robotic Consortia, which was presented by Michael Jones yesterday in this forum, and which is an important contribution for us to cover this part of our environment. And the second project, which is important to us, is the Observatorio Atlántico. It's also an important international collaborative project with Norway, Iceland, and Portugal. In Portugal is IPMA, an important institution, together with the regional governments of Madeira and Azores. Those 2 initiatives, ARC and Observatorio Atlántico, will give us the sea surface and the underwater components. All this managed by the ground control center. And a very important thing, the data component, to share all the data that has been addressed by Olga recently, so that the user service can use this data to deliver solutions by applying artificial intelligence techniques with all mathematical models for all problems we discussed, for coastal erosion, for base protections, for biodiversity analysis. This is our long-term view, this APOS system. As a conclusion, we are facing global problem. Our challengers on the Atlantic are global challenges. Therefore, only international collaboration allows to fight for that. That means international collaboration is of paramount importance, but also multidisciplinary approach. Only oceanography cannot solve the problem of the Atlantic. We need atmospheric science, energy, space. We need to make this multidisciplinary approach to cope with that. In this frame, the Earth Center has been consolidated already as an important international network. We already set up the initial collaborative infrastructures. We set up the initial set of projects, and we have large synergies with the All Atlantic Ocean Research Forum. We have the same goals, we have the same problems. That means we're very proud to work together. And this long-term vision, the Atlantic Pole-to-Pole Observation System of System, is our view, how we can collaborate to help that. And in that, the Atlantic Constellation is our flagship project.
I'm out.
The last thing I would like to mention is just that all the economies in the Atlantic have the Global Recovery Plan as an important exercise. Important budget will be devoted to that. And I understand that all efforts should be there because it helps to solve problems, but also help to create jobs. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Miguel. And we as well have enjoyed a lot of cooperation, and this will continue. And I'm sure we can scale it up jointly. And last but not least, let me now introduce to you Peter Heffernan, Ocean Ambassador, but until October 2019, he also was the CEO of the Marine Institute Ireland, and he was really instrumental for the signing of the Galway Statement. So Peter, the floor is yours. It's a pleasure to have you here with us.
Thank you, Siggy, and greetings to all of our Atlantic friends. In the interest of time in helping you, I will not use any slides. I'm very comfortable just to tell a story. It really is phenomenal to observe the convergence today between the major program areas reported on by VIDAR on the high-level panel report and our great friend Vladimir on the UN decade. And in September, the mission board produced and presented to the European Commission the Starfish mission. And I have to say, in my 30 years of involvement in all things ocean and science and policy, I've never been involved in something that has been as truly ambitious, transformative, and as John Bell said yesterday, providing a leadership from science to policy and society to address what is the greatest existential challenges on this earth. And they are challenges of the linked systems of climate, atmosphere, and oceans. And in the Starfish report, we have set out a vision for how the ocean issues can be, all the major ocean issues can be tackled, how societies and societal policies and programs can be mobilized to restore our oceans by 2030. And amongst the many initiatives and the 5 themes that are there, but particularly thinking of the Atlantic community we're speaking of today, I believe the initiatives about transforming our knowledge and eliminating the emotional gap are areas that will provide us with a plethora of opportunities for the all Atlantic community to connect with each other between the digital twin, turning data into forecasts that society can use to deal with these challenges, huge economic decarbonization, transformation and growth, but in a way that does not create further damage and risk to our ocean. An enormous scope of opportunity for education and engagement with societies. We've seen the talent of now 2 generations of youth ambassadors. Just imagine if we could federate that in every country, in every society, and mobilize the magnificent educators together with the energy and vision and talent that we are seeing coming forward again and again through the Youth Ambassadors programs. And in the areas of citizen science, to empower society to be part of the solution, not to be preaching about the difficulties and the challenges, but to be part of, just as science did for COVID, these are the solutions, these are the pathways forward. We're willing to step up to this challenge. And we have arrived at a point where I think for the UN Decade of the Ocean, Vladimir, as you have alluded to, the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean community and societies can provide, I think, a wonderful contribution on a global scale initiative. And I highly recommend Starfish mission report for everyone. Please do connect with it. And we will be working extremely hard to drive an early implementation of this in the European context. And that will create enormous partnership opportunities for the whole Atlantic community in what is at its core a very inclusive philosophy. It has always been. And you know, if SIGGI's ever associated with anything, you know it's going to be inclusive, you know it's going to be friendly. And it is wonderful to arrive at this opportunity, this time. And if I may be so bold to say that I think the next decade is going to be the transformative decade. We are going to get it done, but we will only get it done together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Peter. And forgive me that I did not mention at the beginning that you are part of the high-level board that we have set up to really help us with the scoping of the mission, the Future Horizon Europe mission on healthy ocean, seas, coasts, and inland waters. Thank you. And yes, we will make it happen. So with that, and thank you also for cutting down the time, because we are running late, and this is now my dilemma. When I introduce the discussants, would you allow me, dear discussants, to ask you only to cut down your statements to 2 minutes each, because we are unfortunately running late. So with that, I give the floor immediately to Juliette Hermes from the National Research Foundation in South Africa Environmental Observation Network. Juliette, what did you take away from all these different insights of our panelists? The floor is yours.
Thanks, Siggy, and what an incredible 2 days we've had. And we've heard from so many diverse people and projects, and we've been inspired by our youth ambassadors. And this session particularly, we've heard various regional and global initiatives which have synergies with the All-Atlantic space. But how do we foster and enhance that cooperation? We know the best science happens when there's diversity, inclusivity, and equality. And what I've heard over the past 2 days is some things to put forward that we need to strengthen this. Firstly, and I could probably stop here, we need to acknowledge and battle our biases every day. We need trust and humility, crushing parachute science. Don't hear, listen, learn and experience things differently, understand the regional circumstances and working conditions, see talent and grow it, get the whole picture and contribute meaningfully in a co-generative, sustainable, responsive manner. Continue to engage and inspire the youth, but continue to be inspired yourself. As we've seen from the beautiful videos, not only is South Africa a wonderfully diverse place, but so too are her 3 oceans. And we should remember interconnectivity is not just between regions and countries, disciplines, people and the sea, but between oceans. The Atlantic does not stand alone. We've heard about the importance of the Southern Ocean and links to the Atlantic, But we in South Africa know well that without the Agulhas Current, the Gulf Stream would be very different. So my take-home message from the past 2 days would be to grow this cooperation in the Atlantic with the spirit of Ubuntu. I am because we are. As Desmond Tutu said, far too often people think of themselves as just individuals separated from one another, whereas you are connected and what you do affects the whole world. When you do well, it spreads out. It is for the whole of humanity.
Thank you very much, Juliette, for really sharing this spirit of Ubuntu with us. It's the quote from Desmond Tutu. So that inspired us all. Thank you. Toste, we have already heard and seen you before. So you are working in Geomar in Germany. Would you like to share your insights now in 2 minutes? I know it's challenging. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Siggy. This has been very interesting 2 days, and what a beautiful theme to have a space for cooperation in the Atlantic. So we heard some good words about ocean observing and how that can bring us together and what we require in sharing. I would like to look at that in a cooperation space. Achieving a sustainable ocean in the future for societies around the Atlantic will require a comprehensive understanding of the current and projected states of our oceans, seas, and coasts. It will also require monitoring the impact of our policies and management actions. Improving early warnings on floods, droughts, severe storms will require expanded ocean observations. The sustainable development of the blue economy, underpinned by ocean information, is a future source of jobs and economic growth. Sustained ocean observation require and thrives from cooperation between nations around the Atlantic Ocean, and include the observers, the scientists, and the people living by the Atlantic. Sustained observations and information will benefit communities and locally everybody that lives around the ocean. The ocean observing system is supported by GOOS, the Global Ocean Observing System, and all the partners and members of GOOS that help with the coordination of national and regional efforts to maximize synergy and impact. Important initiatives include Atlantis program that we heard of before, and more recently, the EU-funded project EuroSea, and many, many others. The whole value chain of ocean observing, as you can see in the graph here, moving from requirements all the way to impacts and the value chain going back again, needs a cooperative effort across the Atlantic. The map shows the observational assets in the Atlantic Ocean in near real time, provided by the Ocean Ops services. Making the ocean observation data fair is a key objective to support cooperation. Sharing benefits around the Atlantic is a key objective of sustained ocean observing system. I hope that it can make a truly sustained ocean observing system a reality together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Toste. I'm sure we can. And if you look at your map, and actually if you focus only on the Atlantic, you don't see anything else. So
that's right.
Thank you. And now I give the floor to Ellen Kensington from Fisheries Ocean Canada. From Fisheries and Ocean Canada. And Ellen, you have been with us for quite a long time in the different working groups, but also in the projects. The floor is yours.
Great, thank you very much, Siggy, and it's a delight to be back again. And I just am overwhelmed with all of the information overload we've had. It's been inspiring and invigorating. And just to keep things short and concise, I'm going to raise 2 key points that are related to how I think we can improve the science advice going forward into the decision-making in this forum. So the first point I want to make suggests how we can capitalize on existing investments, and the second one offers a viewpoint on future activities. So as Professor Saletti reminded us this morning, the work that and the science that we've heard from over the last day and a half have stemmed from these 2 political agreements, the Galway Statement and the Bellum agreement that have activated and motivated a lot of the science that's been undertaken. And for the Galway Agreement, the projects that were undertaken in the Horizon 2020, such as Atlas and Sponges, which I've participated in, have just been amazing. I mean, I think if we didn't have the COVID vaccine example, we would be heralding those projects. I mean, to think in 4 years, we have over 200 publications in areas where we had almost no knowledge before. And this is just such a great advantage. And to do that work at a basin scale is also so important. And I think it's been very rewarding to see all of that knowledge and the framework, even the idea of the youth ambassadors that were generated out of those AORA projects come forward into Bellum. And I really sincerely hope that the same opportunity is extended to South Africa and Brazil, that Canada and the US and the EU have had an opportunity to engage in through Galway. However, my call would be to find funding mechanisms, perhaps using the Ocean Decade as an opportunity to realign funds to increase the participation of the Canadian and US colleagues in the exciting research that's going forward under the Bellum. Because although we're developed nations and so on, we're less well represented in those projects, which makes sense. But it would be good to capitalize on those investments to really bring the science and the scientists together a little more from the North American angle. And further, I'd like to ask all that are empowered to do so to really help these projects deal with the loss of the ship time and the lab time that's been created by COVID. Because we have such a short time frame, and for the Bellum inspired projects to really go forward, we really need help in being able to compensate for the terrible year we've had in trying to cope. And then my second point is something that really came out from the keynote address on day one. And I saw the word colonialism there. And that reminded me that you know, we really need to hear more and think more about how we can engage Indigenous peoples going forward. And after we've listened to these talks here, I've been switching over to the UN climate change dialogues that have been going on in the evenings in my time. So I've had a lot of time there. And I heard a really interesting talk from the Inuit Council, where they expressed an idea not only to be involved in these research networks, which I think we're doing, but they also want to share their Indigenous knowledge and undertake self-determined research based on that knowledge. And I think that's a really exciting concept. I think if we can go forward, perhaps using the Ocean Decade to do that, we should try to explore that angle and trying to, so that we can hear from more voices and undertake research from new angles, which can complement the existing framework. So I'll stop there, but thank you very much. And it is delightful to be with you all again.
Thank you very much, Ellen. And now I move back to Brazil, and I move to Olga Sato from the University of Sao Paulo. Olga, we already heard and saw you before, but please share your insights as well.
Okay, thank you. Can you see me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's been 2 very interesting days. We've learned a lot. I'm so impressed on so many initiatives. I think we never had so many things going on at the same time. So it's very inspiring. I'm taking my anchor hat and I'm gonna put my scientist hat. And for me, my perspective is, it's really hard when we want to study something, especially large scale problems, because as Miguel just said, the problems are very complicated. So it's not a simple problems, and it's not something that a single person can solve the problem. So we need to have collaborations. And when we face this new reality of collaborating with international institutions and scientists, and when we're going to try to understand problems like meridional overturning circulation. So this is something that we have to look at the whole basin. It's a very expensive thing. So that's why we have to have these collaborations. And just to enforce what just Ellen said, funding is a really important thing, because as individual scientists, it's really hard to get funding. If I wanted to do some monitoring, we don't do monitoring. Monitoring is for big big things. So just a scientist, it's hard to do monitoring and justifying why we're going to monitor something that's such a long term. But as a big institutions, projects, we can do monitoring. So that's why it's so important to have, you know, the support of big projects going on so that individuals can contribute and do the real science. So that's it.
Thank you, Olga. And really thank you for reminding how important the funding is. And we already in February, we wanted to launch a subgroup on funders. And so we will take this further, certainly. And last but not least, I invite John White from the Consortium of Ocean Leadership from the United States of America. John, I always wanted to invite you to be part of one of our panel discussions within this context. Now, finally, we managed. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here. So just looking at the title of this session, I first of all want to thank all of you that are here for making the Atlantic Ocean Basin a true space for amazing exemplary types of cooperation in the ocean. You've done well, so or we wouldn't be here today. My main point is that we have the need now to identify and really advance in a cooperative and collective manner specific concrete actions that we can take across many of the Atlantic nations now or soon without the addition of significant resources. And before we resolve the pandemic, there are many things we can do now. They don't cost a lot. These are the low-hanging fruit. I challenge all of you to identify some of those based on the hundreds of actions that have been talked about, even with VDAR and the high-level panel report, 134 areas of action, 70-something very key actions going forward. What can we do now? Start doing now, even with all of the challenges. Maybe it's something like an ocean science scholastic type of competition. That's a gaming type environment designed by our young ambassadors with great exposure. Should we look now at a planning process for our research ships that go to sea amongst all of us? Better cooperation, better planning to ensure that no bunk for a scientist goes unfilled, no laboratory space on a research ship goes unfilled, and no bay goes unfilled by scientific equipment. We can start process to address those now. They don't cost a lot. We can do them virtually, just like we're doing here. So I challenge all of us to get together and come up with some key game-changing type of actions that answer the goals of the UN decade and all the things that we know we need that have been so well actually discussed and described throughout all the sessions at this. So thank you very much. Again, it's an honor. And congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, John. We will take you up, and I will really take this call for action forward to all of us and all of you and beyond this community. And before now, I will not take up any question time because we're really running late, but I wanted to close this fantastic session, a collaborative space, with one personal statement now. So allow me to take 2 minutes. Many of you already know that I will retire as a commission official by the end of this year. And I would like really to thank all of you, but in particular, John Bell, my boss, and the other co-chairs, Yona, Zaira, Craig, Aaron, all my counterparts in the different government departments, and I don't have the time to list them all, but also the colleagues in Argentina, Capo Verde, and in the many other government departments in the European Union. Of course, my own colleagues in the unit, otherwise we would not be where we are now. And all of you, all our partners, all the participants, let me really thank you for your trust, but also for your belief that we can cooperate and we can really make a difference for the Atlantic. And this goes far beyond really, I think, the usual rhetoric. And it's also not something to be complacent. I enjoyed enormously this work over the last 7 years, and the fact that you shared your knowledge, that you shared your insights, and you shared your enthusiasm gave me really the energy to push you to go further and to go faster. And so as we navigate along and across the Atlantic Ocean, I hope to continue to be part of this journey, albeit in a personal capacity. Thank you again to all of you for your belief that we can make a big difference.